How to Stop Overthinking When Manifesting. Written and published by Naslife. The moment you start obsessing over your manifestation, you're not creating. You're cancelling. Thinking is not manifesting. Feeling is. You know this already deep down. That small, quiet nudge, inside the one, that clicked when you first learned about manifestation. It wasn't born from logic. It didn't need proof. It didn't need a blueprint. It just knew. It felt right. But then something happened. You tried to make sense of it. You began to overthink. Manifesting started to feel like work, like a checklist you had to get perfect. You began analyzing whether you were visualizing correctly, saying your affirmations with enough emotion, aligning at the right frequency. You started looking for signs, reading into every delay, and calculating whether you were on track or falling behind. This hunger to do it right comes from a hidden fear that you're doing it wrong. That fear is what overthinking feeds on. And here's the catch. When you overanalyze your desire, you stop living in the energy of it being done. You start tending to it like it's fragile, far away, and uncertain. That energy says to the universe, I don't believe it's already mine. I need to figure it out. And the universe says, as you wish. Lesson 1. The Trap of Overthinking. Overthinking is a beautiful disguise for doubt. It sounds intelligent, responsible, even spiritual. You tell yourself you're being thorough, careful, disciplined, but what you're really doing is piling your natural power under layers of mental effort. You're trying to think your way into something that only clicks when you feel it. The mind loves certainty, but creation requires surrender. The mind asks, are we sure? What if this doesn't work? Shouldn't we check again? But the soul answers only once. It already is. Manifesting doesn't happen from checking and rechecking your vision. It happens the moment you settle into the silent, easy knowing, this is mine. It's done. The trap of overthinking is seductive because it feels productive. You think, if I just journal longer, if I just tweak this affirmation, if I can just figure out what's blocking me, then I'll finally let it happen. But obsession with healing every block is often a mask for resistance, and a delay tactic dressed up as spirituality. You don't need to heal every fear. You don't need to solve your subconscious like a Rubik's Cube. You need to choose the energy of done. Now. And keep choosing it. That's it. If you're overthinking, it means you've jumped out of the state of having and into the state of waiting. You're entertaining timelines instead of embodying the truth. All creation happens now, not when conditions improve, not when you've meditated enough. It arrives by law when you match the vibration of already done, even if your outer world hasn't caught up yet. You don't manifest with your frontal cortex. You manifest with your being. That's why children are such powerful manifestors. They don't calculate. They don't question every desire. They don't make vision boards that turn into anxiety traps. They imagine, delight, believe, and forget. That's the formula. Not logic, but lightness. Not control, but clarity. Not more thinking, less. Can you let manifestation be that simple again? You don't need to try harder. You need to surrender deeper. Let go of the need to be on top of your manifestation. Let it go like you would a package in the mail. You picked what you wanted, you placed the order, and now it's en route. You don't need to track it 10 times a day to make it real. Often, the moment you stop obsessing, the breakthrough comes. Why? Because the overthinking was never helping. It was holding. It was delaying. A relaxed mind and an open heart magnetize faster than a frantic checklist ever could. You've probably felt it before. That settled, quiet moment when you stopped needing it and instead became it. That is where creation lives. In that surrender, there is no more trying. There is only resonating. So take a deep breath. Let the wheel go. Manifestation wants to come to you, not because you proved yourself worthy, not because you figured it all out, but because you finally stopped resisting your own power. Stillness creates. Overthinking complicates. You were never supposed to chase your manifestations. You were meant to remember that they've been yours all along. Listen to. Manifestation is not a math problem. You weren't meant to calculate your way to a miracle. You were meant to feel it, trust it, and allow it. Manifestation is not a math problem begging to be solved. It isn't a set of structured steps you must follow precisely. or an equation where the right variables equal your dream life. That belief that if you just get it all in the right order, say the perfect affirmation, script the perfect detail, or visualize with perfect focus, you'll receive your desire. It's only keeping you further from it. You are not failing if something hasn't shown up. You are simply making it too complex. This is a game of belief, not logic. And when you're stuck in the energy of figuring it out, you are actually echoing a much deeper assumption. That you don't yet have it, that you're missing something, that you must still earn it. And because manifestation reflects your state rather than your thoughts, you inadvertently reinforce the very distance you're trying to erase. You might feel as if you're doing everything right, writing your goals, repeating affirmations, following every manifestation coach's advice like a checklist. But if you're doing all of it with an anxious undercurrent, if your energy is wrapped in effort instead of ease, it's a signal to pause, to breathe, to simplify. Manifestation responds to identity, not performance. That means no matter how many vision boards you make, if you don't feel safe, relaxed, and worthy in the assumption of the end you desire, you're trying to bake a cake without turning on the oven. The ingredients don't matter when the heat of belief is missing. You can't logic your way into a new life. Miracles don't follow rules. Abundance doesn't arrive on a rigid schedule. That's not how this works. It's not linear. It's not earned. It's received, and that receiving happens through energy, not intellect. The mind wants steps. The soul wants surrender. The more you try to solve your reality, the more tangled it becomes. What if you didn't try to make it make sense? What if you didn't need a timetable, a guarantee, or a specific sequence of events? What if you let it be simple? Want it, feel it as done, and relax. The most powerful manifestations come when you stop approaching life like a problem to fix and begin approaching it like a song to enjoy. You don't overanalyze your favorite music. You don't pause it to dissect every note. You feel it. You let it wash over you, move you, carry you. That's the energy of pure receiving. That's what manifestation actually is, harmonizing with the frequency of what already belongs to you. Your dream isn't far. It's already created in the invisible, waiting for you to tune to it like a radio station. But the longer you stay in the frequency of, let me figure this out, the longer you keep circling the same static. This is not punishment, it's precision. The universe isn't withholding anything, it's always matching you. If it's not quite arriving yet, it's only because your dominant focus is still on the effort, not the embodiment. You don't need to try harder. You need to return to the simple truth. It's done. When you live from the end, things unfold not because you've manipulated every detail, but because you've become the version of yourself who naturally receives it. That version of you is not running simulations in her head all day. She rests. She trusts. She expects. Right now, you can shift from the problem-solving mind into the receiving self. Let it be easy. Manifestation has never been about flawless steps. It's about alignment, a quiet, steady inner knowing. Let go of the math. Let go of right and wrong. Let go of timing, technique, and tracking. Come back to stillness. Come back to energy. Come back to you. That's where everything begins. And that's where everything arrives. Lesson 3. Feel greater, then figure out. Trying to figure it all out is the surest way to stay stuck. You already know what you want, not because you calculated it, not because you weighed the pros and cons, but because something in you felt it. A pull, a spark, a knowing. Desire doesn't come from logic, it arrives through feeling. So why do we keep trying to think our way to fulfillment? Because we've been taught that life rewards those who think hard, plan endlessly, and strategize their every move. But manifestation doesn't play by those rules. It doesn't require you to earn or explain your desire, only to embody it. When you're stuck in the loop of trying to figure it out, when will it happen? What exact steps do I take? What am I doing wrong? You're not aligned with the outcome. You're aligned with the absence of it. Every moment you spend trying to calculate your way there, you tell your subconscious, it's not here yet. I don't feel it. I need answers. But your life doesn't change through answers. It changes through energy. What creates the shift is entering into the feeling of already done, not for 5 minutes during a visualization, but as a steady, subtle atmosphere in which your life begins to rearrange itself without your constant management. The truth is, trying to figure out your manifestation is a delay tactic dressed as diligence. The ego desperately wants to stay in control. It thinks, if I can just line up all the pieces, if I can just make sense of this, then maybe it will come. But that efforting energy is not magnetic. It's heavy. It binds you to confusion, to delay, to overprocessing. And worst of all, it keeps you in your head when the magic happens through the heart. It's not to me that we stay in the same place with the power of confusion. It's the way we love takes us to the final moment. Even before it appears, you can choose to feel what you would feel if it were already yours. Relief, pleasure, freedom, peace. And it's that consistent inner signal, not how often you are. Visualize, not how well you script. That brings the manifestation into form. You don't have to know what to do. You just have to know how it feels. Let the feeling lead your focus. Let it soften you, shift you, support you. Ask yourself, not, what am I missing? But how would I feel if it were already done? Then practice that feeling as your state. Manifestation responds not to words alone, but to the emotional undercurrent behind them. You can say all the right affirmations and do all the right journaling, but if underneath those actions is a frantic need to fix or correct your vibration, you're still in the energy of lack. But when you relax into the joy of already having it, even if it's just a few moments at a time, you're entering the field where things move quickly and quietly. You're no longer searching from emptiness, you're selecting from fullness. It's a sacred reversal. Stop thinking harder, start feeling deeper. And don't go searching for proof. You are the proof. Your energy is the evidence. Your peace is the portal. You are not here to chase your manifestations. You are here to feel the reality within and allow it to be mirrored without. So much of what you've been taught about progress is backwards when it comes to creation. The more you try to solve, the more you delay. But the more you feel aligned, safe, and sure, even without evidence, the faster things begin to shift. You don't have to figure it all out to watch it unfold. You just have to stay loyal to the feeling. Let yourself relax into the version of you where it's already done. Let that feeling wash over you gently, consistently. That's the signal. That's the vibration. That's the way. You are not required to solve the puzzle. You are only asked to feel the presence of the answer. And when you do, when you let go of the constant figuring out, you'll feel it begin to come. Not because you controlled it, but because you aligned with it. It's not a thought process. It's a frequency. And the more you feel it, the more it becomes yours. Lesson 4. Stop needing to know the how. When desire first arrives, it's pure. It's clean, true, electric. There's a moment, however fleeting, when you feel the yes of it deep in your body. No doubts, no strain, just the effortless knowing that this is yours. It already belongs to you. That's the essence of creation. But then something happens. The mind wakes up. It looks around and says, okay, but how? And just like that, you leave the feeling frequency of fulfillment and walk into a maze of unknowns. Every twist of the mind becomes a delay. Every attempt to figure it out is a step further from the clarity you started with. You've been taught to worship the how. Strategy, logic, planning. Society crowns these as the only paths to success. But manifestation isn't mechanical. It doesn't operate through willpower or predictable systems. It responds to vibration. It mirrors state. And when you cling to the how, what you're silently saying is, I don't have it yet. I don't know if I will. Can you feel the tension in that? Needing to know the how is like trying to watch a movie while pulling apart the projector. You're so busy trying to manipulate the mechanics that you miss the unfolding. Let's be honest. The need to control the how is always fear in disguise. A fear that if you don't do enough, force enough, or plan it perfectly, it won't happen. But this fear is an illusion. It does not speak from your higher self. It's a protective reflex, one that belongs to the part of you that hasn't yet remembered you're a creator, not a controller. Desire doesn't come with a blueprint, and it doesn't need one. Its arrival is your sign. The fact that you feel the pull, the yearning, the vision, that is the beginning of it being done. Your job is to say yes. The how is never up to you. That's handled by something far wiser and infinitely more capable, the force that spins planets without instruction and beats your heart without effort. Trust that. Letting go of the how doesn't mean you stop moving, dreaming, or taking action. It means you stop forcing. It means you stop doubting whether your desire is allowed to show up unless you've pre-approved every step. It means you shift from mental control to energetic alignment, from chasing possibility to embodying certainty. Sometimes the very outcome you're begging to understand won't make sense from your current vantage point. That's okay. You're not meant to comprehend the entire staircase, only to take the next step in faith. Manifestation gives you exactly what you're ready to believe in, no more, no less. So if you're hitting resistance, ask yourself, am I really trusting, or am I trying to micromanage the delivery? What if the how is none of your concern, because it's already unfolding perfectly, in a way even better than your plan? What if your job is just to get into the frequency of holding the desire like a secret truth, not a desperate hope? Try this instead. The moment you feel the mind start to spin, pause, drop your shoulders, breathe, return to the end result, your vision fulfilled, your body relaxed, your heart at peace. Feel the thing as done. Live in that mood. Let that become the only signal you consistently send out. You weren't born to doubt. You were born to know, to feel, to allow. Creation flows from the quiet confidence of knowing you've asked and it is done. Not will be, not might be, already done. This chapter is your permission slip to rest, to release the need for proof mid-process, to no longer be a manager of miracles. The moment you stop needing to know the how is the moment things begin to shift. Because in truth, the universe never needed your instructions, only your trust. Lesson 5. You can't micromanage the universe. You don't need to run the cosmos to receive what you desire. But let's be honest, you've tried. We all have. We get a vision, a whisper of a dream that feels expansive and alive, and then the mind charges in with spreadsheets, timelines, strategy sessions, and stress. We obsess over the specifics. When will it happen? Who will bring it? What if this isn't the way? What if I miss the sign? But manifestation doesn't bloom in that kind of energy. It rekeels. Because control is contracted, and manifestation is flow. There's a hidden fear that if we don't manage every detail, we'll mess it up. That if we aren't constantly on top of our vibration, attached to the right affirmations, visualizing at the perfect moment, or reading the signs from the universe like a code to crack, it just won't happen. Can you feel how exhausting that is? Trying to micromanage the moment you meet your soulmate, the steps your business must take to scale, the miracle route your body has to follow to heal. It's all spiritual micromanagement, and it's a sign you're not trusting the process. Not because you're ungrateful, not because you don't believe, but because the mind has tricked you into believing it has to make it happen. That effort equals worth. That vigilance ensures arrival. But manifestation is not a task. It's not a job. It's not your work to do. Your only work is to feel it as done. To dwell in the end, not design the middle. Creation doesn't need repetition and rigidity. It needs resonance. And you drop into resonance not by scripting the scene, but by surrendering to the frequency. You hold the end scene like a warm ember in your chest. Let it inform your mood and live from it, not for it. Micromanaging is an attempt to prove to yourself that you're worthy of the outcome. It's a subtle fear that you alone must ensure its arrival, that you're not proving anything to the universe. You're showing yourself whether you believe or not. And belief doesn't manifest through control, it manifests through calm. Anything you're frantic about, you're pushing away, because the underlying emotion is lack, and lack cannot attract abundance, only more reasons to keep watching the clock, checking the signs, retracing your steps. All of it is a loop, a beautiful, innocent attempt to speed things up that only slows everything down. The universe is precise, intelligent, and wildly generous, but you have to give it room to work, like a gardener who plants the seed and doesn't stand over it shouting, "Are you growing yet?" Every hour, you must plant your desire and walk in trust. You never have to monitor how it's going to unfold. The pieces come together in ways your brain could never map out. That's the beauty of it. That's the grace. The way someone shows up unexpectedly. The way a deadline stretches just when you need it. The way you happen to overhear something that changes everything. Synchronicity thrives in space. Possibility blooms in surrender. This chapter is not asking you to give up. It's inviting you to give in to the deeper, softer knowing that everything truly good arrives not because you clutched it into being, but because you believed in it quietly enough to let it come. You didn't come here to carry the whole universe on your back. You came here to co-create, not to command. Relax your vision back into the broader sky. Trust the orchestration. Stay loyal to the end feeling and let the details lift themselves. When you stop micromanaging, you allow the universe to do what it does best, deliver in ways bigger, faster, and more beautiful than you could have ever planned. Lesson 6. Doubt is just mental static. Doubt is not a sign that you're wrong. It's a sign that you're thinking too much. Doubt is the background buzz that creeps in when you've gotten too far from your center, when the stillness has been replaced by overanalysis, and the gentle knowing of, it is done, has been buried under layers of, what if? It doesn't mean you're off track. It just means you've tuned your inner radio to the wrong station, the one that plays fear, second-guessing, and mental noise on repeat. You don't need to fight your doubt. You don't need to argue with it, negotiate with it, or prove it wrong. The moment you try to wrestle with doubt, you're saying, energetically, I'm unsure. You're entering the same overthinking state that started the static in the first place. But you can't find clarity by making noise. You find clarity by turning down the volume. Imagine your intention is a clear signal, broadcasting effortlessly from the center of your being. That signal says, this is who I am. This is what I have. This is what's done. Then doubt flutters, in like a weak frequency overlaying yours. Soft at first, but persistent. Left double quotation mark. It's just distortion along the way. The beautiful thing? You don't have to fix the static. You just return to the signal. Your signal is the feeling of inner completion. The decision to believe. The moment when you quietly settle into the end you've chosen and feel how natural it is. Not because you've seen signs, but because you've remembered your power. Doubt fades when you anchor back into that feeling. That feeling is your truth. When embodied, it doesn't need proof. It simply is. You're not required to have zero doubt to manifest. That's another form of perfectionism, dressed in spiritual clothing. You don't need to purify your mind of every fearful thought. That's mental control again. What you need is dominant energy, dominant assumption. Which means, when you notice doubt, you acknowledge it without giving it your crown. You hear it and you let it pass. Just like a cloud across the sky, not a verdict on your future. You can feel doubt and still receive. You can have a flicker of uncertainty and still create miracles. Because what manifests isn't every fleeting thought. It's the state you come back to most often. The emotional home you live in. The internal yes you choose again and again, even when the external says, not yet. Doubt becomes less frightening when you realize it holds no authority unless you give it some. It's just a habit, a conditioned reflex, a leftover mechanism from all the years your mind tried to keep you safe by expecting the worst. But you're not here to live by old defense systems. You're here to create. And creation doesn't need protecting. It needs feeling. Deep, vivid inner experience. It needs you to close your eyes and see the outcome as already done. To dare imagine satisfaction before evidence. To live from the result, rather than chase it from lack. When doubt whispers, return to the feeling. Don't fight the fear, nourish the vision. You don't need to clear the resistance, like scrubbing a stained window. Just stand back far enough to see what was always visible through it, the truth that never wavered. You desire it because it's already alive in some version of you, and your job is to align with that version, the you who knows. Not perfectly, not with drama, but gently, moment by moment. Choosing the version of you who doesn't need to question anymore. She's just being. He's just living it. Quiet, clear, done. Doubt will still try sometimes. That's okay. It's not your enemy. It's just a signal to soften, to go inward, to let go of solving and return to sensing. Doubt has no creative power, not unless you mold it with your attention. But you have infinite creative power the moment you stop resisting and start remembering. You never needed more confidence. You just needed less noise. Lesson 7. Stillness is your true strategy. Stillness is not inactivity. It is not inertia. It is not you giving up and doing nothing. Stillness is pure, potent power. It is the place where all true manifestation begins and completes. You've been taught that strategy means effort, output, constant optimization, that if you're not doing something, you're sliding backward. But if you're not thinking it through, you're missing something critical. But the truth is, your over-analysis is the very thing that interrupts the natural unfolding. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly still inside? Still, as in undisturbed, quiet but not void, present but not reaching. That state is rare, and yet, in it you become magnetic. You become clear. You return to your original creative power. Overthinking is the opposite of stillness. It rushes in when you feel unsure. When you fear your manifestation may not come. It whispers stories about what might go wrong, or what you forgot to do. It demands rehearsals and reviews and revisions. But stillness doesn't need any of that, because stillness already assumes it's done. All your doubt, your loops, your frantic searches for signs, they're signs themselves that you've left your seat of stillness. The moment you shift from peace to panic, from knowing to meeting, from feeling to fixing, you have changed the broadcast. You've gone from I am to I hope, from embodiment to yearning, from creator to questioner. The difference between someone who manifests with grace and someone who struggles lies not in intelligence, talent, or even desire, but in the ability to rest in the fertile field of stillness. Be soft enough to receive, to be clear enough to allow, to be still enough to hear the whisper of inner guidance over the screech of mental noise. Stillness is not something you have to summon. It is something you return to. It's already beneath the surface of your busy thoughts. It's the baseline of your being. Your job is not to generate stillness, but to withdraw from the static that hides it. Let's put it into real-world terms. When you plant a seed in the soil, it doesn't need you to dig it up every day to see if it's sprouting. It needs you to trust the process you've already set in motion. Manifestation is no different. Once the desire has been felt, clearly, fully, truthfully, then your only real work is to stay in tune with the energy of that fulfilled state. And that tuning is silent. It's still, not passive, but powerful. In your stillness, you re-enter the vibration of certainty. You become emotionally available to what you've asked for. You're no longer interrupting the signal with anxiety or overwhelm. You're no longer chasing the outcome. You're letting it meet you. You may not know what to do next, and that's okay. Stillness isn't confused. It's patient. It's precise. It feels everything coming together before the eyes can perceive it. It trusts the love sequence, even if it can't map out every step. Stillness doesn't need to guess. It simply knows. You're invited right here to stop spinning in the thinking that wants to solve everything. To pause the mental rehearsal. To put down the spiritual to-do list. What you seek isn't in your next action, it's in your current state. When you become still, you become receptive. You hear your intuition again. You recognize intuitive nudges for what they are. Effortless thoughts that come without struggle. Inspired, not initiated. Calm, not contracted. You may notice when you're truly still that you already feel the frequency of what you want, often without trying. That's the magic. In stillness, there is no gap. You feel yourself as the person who already lives it, breathes it, embodies it. Notice what begins to happen when you hold that energy, even for a little while. When you commit to stillness as your strategy, instead of controlling and convincing and calculating, just notice. Stillness speaks louder than manifestations written in a rush. It vibrates farther than any forced cut affirmation. It connects faster than endless visualization techniques. It is the quiet moment when you believe again. When you stop the search, when you soften into certainty, and remember, it's all already here. Let it land, let it find you still. Lesson 8. Trust your first desire. The first desire is the purest one. It rises up suddenly, often without logic, explanation, or context. It comes before the mind steps in with its rehearsed commentary, before fear dresses it up or logic tears it down. Your first desire is not random. It's an echo of the truth already alive within you. The more you overthink, the more you talk yourself out of it. You question where it came from. You wonder if it's too big, too specific, too soon. You dissect the desire into smaller, safer versions. You try to make it more reasonable. But reason never gave birth to the miraculous. Faith did. That first flicker, that immediate, visceral yes that moves through your body, is the spark of creation. And the universe always responds to it. But if you don't trust it, you'll drown it out with doubts dressed as responsibility. You'll waste months trying to convince yourself it's okay to want what you already knew, from the beginning, was yours. Your first desire is the one that didn't ask for permission. That energy is what makes it magnetic. It's not filtered through approval. It's not muted by timelines or technicalities. It doesn't care what the past looked like, or what the data says. It comes from your higher self, the version of you that already has what you want, whispering, this way. So what if you just trusted it? Not with panic, not by instantly building a 12-step plan to make it happen, but by sitting with it, honoring its clarity, letting it be enough, letting the desire alone, without frantic questions or needing proof, be the blueprint that calls the unseen into form. When you begin to trust your first desire, you stop looking backward. There's no need to run through old stories or gather more evidence. You no longer worry if it's realistic or the right timing. You understand something deeper. If the vision came, if it truly moved you, then it already contains the seed and the strategy. Consider how many desires you've buried, not because they were wrong, but because you didn't trust yourself enough to believe in them. They didn't vanish. They're still alive in your energetic field, waiting to be believed in again. This trust is what changes everything. Trusting your first desire means you stop constantly switching paths. You stop second-guessing what you knew before the voices got loud. You create from a place of conviction, not confusion. And this clarity has a frequency the universe rushes to respond to. Does that mean you'll never doubt? Of course not. But the doubt won't dictate anymore. It will be noise like static behind a song that's already begun. You'll follow the music anyway. If you quiet the mind long enough, you'll remember the simplicity at the heart of creation. You're not here to negotiate with your desires. You're here to live them. And living begins the moment you say deep in your being, yes, I want this, and I don't need a reason. The overthinking mind will always suggest a backup plan, paint you 1,000 alternate routes, not out of malice, but out of fear. It will suggest you settle. It will offer you delay disguised as logic. But your soul only speaks once and clearly. That first impulse, that was it. So try this. Just for today, stop editing the dream. Stop minimizing what you want to make it easier to explain. Stop asking if it's okay to want what your spirit already chose. Desire is divine direction. It's not random. It's revelation. What you saw in that first glimpse, that flash of inspiration, vision, or longing, was an invitation into your next reality. Your only job is to accept that invitation with the steadiness of someone who already knows they're being handed keys, not told to prove themselves worthy. Your desire doesn't need fixing. It needs focus. Return to that first desire now, before the calculations, before the doubts, before you started working on yourself to become deserving of it. Can you feel how complete it already is? Can you sense how different your body feels when you choose trust over effort? Stay here longer. Let it shape you. Let it inform your identity. Let it teach you that there's nothing to force, only something to remember. Ooh. And in remembering, you return to creation without tension, without overthinking, without delay. When you trust your first desire, you collapse timelines, because nothing is more magnetic than a being who claims, without apology, what they were shown in their spirit before it was ever seen in the world. Trust it. That's where the manifestation begins. Lesson 9. The subconscious needs simplicity. The subconscious doesn't understand complexity. It responds to clarity, repetition, and feeling. If you're trying too hard, saying too much, changing your techniques every week, or layering goal on top of goal with frantic energy, you're confusing the very part of you responsible for manifesting. You're giving mixed signals and wondering why the results are delayed. Your subconscious mind is not judging you. It's not measuring worth or doubting your dream. It's simply accepting the instructions you give it, often without you realizing you're giving them. It works in symbols, emotions, imagery, and inner states. It listens less to what you say and more to what you embody. An unclear mind projects unclear instructions, but a serene mind, anchored in a simple, felt assumption, becomes magnetic. Most people think they need to constantly repeat their desire, visualize perfectly, and manage 20 different steps to make it work. But manifestation was never meant to be a mental marathon. The more you complicate it, the more you dilute your power. Manifestation moves when your message is clear, when your energy is one note, not a contradiction of hope and fear, action and doubt, control and surrender. Simplicity is powerful, not because it's minimal, but because it's focused. Picture yourself sitting with your desire as if it's already yours, not convincing yourself, not begging for it, but resting in the feeling of peace, satisfaction, and inevitability. That still, direct, uncluttered sensation tells your subconscious, this is the reality now. And it obeys. The trick isn't to saturate your mind with endless affirmations. It's to find the one truth that feels deliciously final to you, and rest there. A simple affirmation like, it's mine, held consistently in a calm heart, speaks louder than 100 anxious declarations. Decide once, feel it deeply. Let that feeling echo through your day like background music. That is how you program your subconscious, with presence, not panic. Children do this naturally. They wish for something, picture it, feel it, and immediately begin playing as if it's true. There's no mental checklist, no questioning if they visualized enough. They believe, and so it begins to form. The subconscious thrives on imagination, not analysis. On direct impressions, not over-explanations. When you keep things simple, a clear desire, a steady emotion, a light grip, you activate this childlike power again. When your energy is scattered, you're trying too hard to make it work. But when your energy is calm, singular, and decided, you trigger your subconscious to begin construction. Anytime you think, I need to do more techniques, stop and ask if your intention is clear. If you're still doubting, adding more tools won't help. Go back to the root, back to the simple knowing, left double quotation mark. Simplicity doesn't mean passivity, it means precision. Just like a seed only needs water and sunlight, your manifestation only needs a clear, repeated signal, not pressure, not perfection. When you realize this, you stop muddying the waters with doubt disguised as dedication. You stop exhausting yourself with mental gymnastics, and you begin to trust that your clarity is enough. Let it be simple. Choose the scene, the feeling, or the phrase that gives you peace, and keep returning to it, steadily and softly. Don't overfeed the desire. Don't scan the horizon 100 times a day to see if it's growing. That impatience is noise. The subconscious is listening beneath it. When you drop the noise, simplicity speaks loudly, and it says, this is real now. Every time you feel the urge to diagnose your progress or chase more answers, pause. Your only job is to embody the state of having, not study it to death. Just like you don't check your pulse every second to make sure your heart is beating, you don't need to constantly check your manifestation to be sure it's working. Your subconscious wants one thing from you, inner consistency. What is the simplest version of your desire that feels real to you right now? Start there. Say it once, with certainty. Feel it once, with depth. And practice staying in that space for longer stretches each day. This isn't hard work. It's sacred stillness. Simplicity is not weakness, it's alignment. It cuts through all the doubt if you let it. The moment your desire feels simple again, not complicated, not far away, not tangled in mental strings, it starts to move. It becomes soft in your body, simple in your energy, and real in your world. Keep it clean, keep it clear. Your subconscious is already listening. Give it one story and watch how fast it starts to build. Lesson 10. Assume and let go. Assume it's done, and then stop watching the door. That's the quiet power most people miss. Manifestation doesn't need constant supervision. It doesn't bloom under the anxious buzzing of, did it work yet? Or, what if I missed something? You plant the seed in your imagination, and then you walk away like it's already growing, because it is. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It's ownership, inner certainty, a bold, gentle claiming of your desire as already yours. And once you claim it inwardly, the outer world begins reshaping to reflect it. Life listens to the assumptions you live by, not the doubts you entertain between them. But here's where most overthinkers get stuck. They assume and then immediately start checking for proof. They want signs, they want feedback, they want some friction or step-by-step guarantee. That constant checking dissolves the assumption, like digging up the seed every few hours to see if it's sprouted yet. Letting go isn't passive. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you've shifted into knowing, a knowing so rich and alive, you no longer feel the need to chase or question. You walk differently when you've assumed it's done. You relax more. You release the performative parts of manifesting and just settle into being. You don't keep chasing what you already believe is yours. Manifestation unfolds fastest when you forget you're manifesting, when you're wrapped up in joy, when you're lost in the rhythm of your normal life, anchored in the feeling of already being the version of you who has it. That's the beauty of healthy assumption. It doesn't demand attention. It quietly rewires your world. Most people are walking around assuming the negative, assuming the worst, assuming it won't work out, and they call that being realistic. But realism is just repeated agreement with past patterns. It's a permission slip to stay small. Manifestation asks you to rise beyond your history and assume boldly, as if what you want isn't just possible, but promised. This is where the inner shift happens. You stop needing to be convinced. You stop trying to see evidence before you believe. You leap internally, first. You cross over in consciousness and decide, this is my reality now. This is who I am. This is what I have. And then, and only then, do you gently release it. The releasing part is crucial. You won't need to force it. When your assumption is pure and wholehearted, the letting go feels natural, not like disconnecting, but like detaching in full trust. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath. A peaceful surrender that doesn't feel like loss. It feels like alignment. Some people confuse letting go with giving up. But giving up says, I don't think it's coming. Letting go says, I know it's already mine. Big difference. In one, you spiral. In the other, you settle. In giving up, you're reacting to externals. In letting go, you've locked in an internal truth so solid that no external noise can shake you. So let this be your practice. When you desire something, assume it as fact in your inner world, not because you're begging the universe to make it happen, but because you are the one who gets to decide what's real for you. You are the origin point. You initiate the pattern. If you constantly assume that it's working, it is. If you assume you're chosen, you are. If you assume the opportunity is aligning, it begins moving toward you because your assumption tells life how to treat you. And when you feel that beautiful, pure assumption take root, let it go. Don't wrap anxiety around it. Don't try to babysit it. Just keep living in a way that matches the you who has what she asked for. Act natural. Be normal. Let life meet you without grasping. Assume and let go. It's not a technique. It's a trust state. This is the moment when manifestation begins to feel soft, subtle, and miraculous. When things begin showing up unexpectedly, because you've dropped the constant effort and allowed the invisible to become visible. Let it come to you. Let it reveal itself. Let it arrive while you're out living, laughing, trusting, creating, being the version of you who's already fulfilled. Because you are, the end isn't far. It's already in motion. Lesson 11. Detach, then watch it come. Desire pulls it in. Need pushes it away. And the difference between the two is subtle but everything. Detachment is not about pretending you don't want something. It's not suppressing desire or surrendering to mediocrity. It's the sacred balance between fully claiming your manifestation and releasing your grasp on the timing, shape, and path it takes to reach you. Let's be honest. You've imagined your desire so many times, you could script it like a scene in a movie. You visualize the moment it arrives, the celebration, the relief, the confirmation. You felt the spark. But then, without realizing it, you recoil into the waiting, into the wondering, into the emotional checking of the when and the why isn't it here yet. That's not detachment, that's energetic clinging. Detachment is the moment you breathe in the knowing that it's already yours. Not because you need to believe harder, but because you've actually let go of the question mark. You stop chasing the outcome and begin standing as the version of you who already has it. You start living in the energy of course it's coming. That's when manifestation stops being a hunt and starts being a homecoming. When you're truly detached, there's no resistance left. You trust life to catch up. You're no longer evaluating signs with a microscope or replaying affirmations like a broken record out of fear that you might miss your chance. Instead, you float. You loosen your grip. You look life in the eye and say, I'm taken care of. It's already done. Detachment isn't apathy. It's faith, matured. It's love without desperation. It's easy to confuse detachment with not caring. But true detachment is the most caring thing you can do for your manifestation. You stop scraping the soil to see if the seed is growing. You let it unfold, because you finally trust the season it's meant to bloom in. You've stopped begging reality to prove something to you. Why? Because you no longer need proof. You have embodiment. And the irony is this: the very moment you detach is the moment things start moving. Not because detachment tricks the universe, but because detachment is magnetic. It says, I'm whole with or without it. And that wholeness pulls everything to you more effortlessly than effort ever could. You aren't tested by the universe, you're mirrored. When you radiate steadiness and completeness, life rushes to match you. We think control will bring us certainty, but it doesn't. It only breeds more tension. The thing you're trying to hold on to is the very thing that cannot land until you let go. It's like opening your hands to receive, but clenching your fists in fear at the same time. Energetically, that sends mixed signals. You're saying, I want it, but vibrating, I don't trust it'll come. Detachment clears that static. It aligns your frequency with fulfillment. Letting go doesn't mean losing the desire. It means losing the obsession with its arrival. Detachment is like placing your order with the universe and then getting back to living, trusting that the delivery driver knows the way, even if you don't see it arriving yet. You wouldn't order dinner on an app and then panic if it didn't show up in 30 seconds. You'd trust the system. Your only job is to stay aligned with knowing, it's coming, I'm ready. In the absence of attachment, there is peace. And peace is creation's favorite condition. You become so grounded in your knowing that whether it comes today or next week doesn't change your vibration. You don't need evidence anymore. That's maturity in manifesting. That silent certainty that never begs, never rushes, and never clings. So take a breath. You can want it deeply and still be free. You can anticipate it without agonizing for it. You can name it as yours and release the rope around it. Let your desire be light, not heavy. Let it inspire joy, not anxiety. You are not chasing outcomes. You are remembering who you already are. The one who has, the one who becomes, the one who trusts. Detach, not because you're giving up, but because you no longer need to keep checking. You've already moved into the version of you who has it. And deep down, you know that version doesn't need to worry. She simply watches it come. Lesson 12. Creation happens in the quiet. There is a stillness beneath all your thoughts, a quiet current, always flowing. And that stillness is where manifestation truly happens. When the mind is noisy, it clings, it grasps at outcomes, it replays scenarios, it second-guesses timing, it overanalyzes signs. This noise creates friction with your desire, not because your thoughts are wrong, but because they're loud. And creation doesn't thrive in volume. It blooms in silence. You're not supposed to hustle for your desire on the mental level. You're meant to become it, energetically. And that becoming is subtle. It's soft. It doesn't scream for anyone's attention, including your own. It just knows. The most powerful manifestations often arrive not during your 100th affirmation, but in the space between them. Not during the open-eye vision board sessions, but in the quiet breath you take when you truly let it be. There's a deep magic in your surrender, not the surrender of giving up, but the surrender of letting your desire root itself into your being without needing to narrate it every second. Creation responds to your dominant state, not your dominant effort. That's why silence is so potent. That's why stillness magnetizes. Have you noticed that your biggest breakthroughs often catch you off guard when you're not trying, not chasing, not thinking? just living something else entirely? That's because creation slipped in through the porch door, while your mind was finally somewhere else. The reason quiet is sacred isn't because the universe demands your silence. It's because you hear yourself best in it. You remember who you are. You remember that this thing you want is not outside you. It's inside already, woven into your energy, already chosen, already becoming more real with every breath you take in peace. This is why stillness is not a passive tool. It's an amplifier. It amplifies what you've decided by making space for it to land. Like a lake that reflects the sky only when still, your inner world reflects your vision with clarity when it's no longer rippled by doubt, urgency, or mental chatter. Silence does not mean doing nothing. It means doing less. Mentally. So your heart, your intuition, your vibration can do more. You access layers of knowing in silence that no affirmation can reach. You don't need to explain your manifestation to the universe over and over. You need to occupy the space where it already exists, and often, that's best accessed by stepping out of thought and into being. So be in the quiet, and let the quiet be in you. Feel how true it already feels when you stop trying to make it true. Feel how here it already is when you stop arguing for the reasons it isn't. That inner alignment, that calm, anchored, wordless confidence, is the state that summons the reality to match. This is the place you return to when you've tried all the techniques and still nothing feels right. This is the ground beneath your visualizations, the silence between the heartbeats of your desire. Creation happens in the quiet, because in quiet, you're most like the source that creates. Still, certain parts of you may resist this. The mind will say, shouldn't I be doing something? Shouldn't I be planning, scripting, visualizing more? And when it asks, smile gently. Let it rest. The plan has already been made. The seed already planted. The moment you desired it, it started growing roots. Your job is to remain the fertile soil. If you ever feel disconnected from your manifestation, not because you doubt it, but because you feel far from the feeling of it, don't reach for more effort. Reach for more stillness. Instead of piling on techniques, take a breath. Instead of fixing vibration, feel your feet on the floor. Come back to the now, where nothing needs fixing and everything is unfolding. So many miracles happen when you're no longer looking for them with a flashlight, because there's a deeper intelligence at play, one that doesn't shout, doesn't hurry, and never forgets what you've asked for. It's in the quiet that you allow it to reach you. What you desire is not locked behind some cosmic vault. It's already open, already available, already yours. And the moment you allow yourself to be still enough to know it, it finds a way in. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer, and clarity is quiet. From here, this quiet, anchored, soft power state, everything accelerates. Not because you rushed, but because now your frequency finally matches the ending you imagined. Let that ending echo in your silence. Let it arrive gently, easily, certainly. Creation happens in the quiet. And when it does, it doesn't feel shocking. It feels familiar. Like remembering the thing you've known all along.